Call the meeting to order. This is a meeting of the Hampden Board of Selectmen and the Board of Health being held in the Townhouse Auditorium December 6th, 2021 at 6 p.m. This meeting is being conducted both in person and remotely via Zoom in accordance with Governor Baker's March 2020 emergency order. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Is anyone recording the meeting other than us?
Nope.
No, seeing none. Why don't we skip over the minutes for now? And we have a candidate for Capital Planning Committee, Travis Phillips.
In your packet, his bio is there.
Right. Hi, Travis. How are you?
You're warm and breathing.
How's it
I'm
going?
good with you, Travis.
I am.
Okay, here we are.
Have a seat. There's John Flynn and Don Davenport, to Greg Rivas.
Nice to meet you guys.
Right. How are you? Nice to meet you.
Get our signs for there.
So this is exciting. A new person.
How long you been in town? How long you been in
So
town?
my wife and 4 children, we've been here for just under 5 years.
Nice.
Okay.
I grew up in Springfield, spent a lot of time here, eventually moved to Summers. That's where we had been living previously, and then we moved over.
What do you do?
So I actually own 2 businesses. One is a solar lighting company. One is a flagpole company. We do residential and commercial flagpoles. And both of those operate nationally. So that's what I do.
In your military before that?
Yes, so I previously was in the Air Force Reserves. In my time there, I was an engineering assistant. So what I did typically was AutoCAD, surveying, and construction management. And I did that for 8 years.
So you're sitting home one night and you say to yourself, you know, I just saw this thing about capital planning. That must pay good.
Yeah,
I think I'll put my name in for that.
Don, Don, this guy looks like he's 25. I don't know how he was in the military for 8 years. Seriously.
I get
I'll
You
be-
need some ID here.
I'm wearing a t-shirt older than him.
There you go.
so
And I
I'm
know-
33, so pretty young, but you know, I guess my history is that I've always thought that it's relevant to serve. I think that it's important to stand up in your community. So I appreciate what you guys are doing. And, you know, I saw that there was a need in the town for this. And so I figured with my experience that I might be a good fit.
Great. Bob, you want to brief them a little bit on what the capital planning is up to?
No, we don't want to put him off.
No, the Capital Planning Committee is generally responsible for putting together a 5-year capital plan for town facilities. In conjunction with that, we have a 20-year plan for our vehicles. We've just finished the vehicle plan, and at the next meeting, we're going to start on inventorying all of our technology and starting a 5-year plan for that, as well as a tracking system and so forth.
Got it.
A lot of the large capital projects are already committed. The expansion of the fire station, the expansion of the highway garage, and ultimately, I guess, the expansion of the civic center, the senior center. So, and I think on top of all of these items, we have accessibility, handicap accessibility issues. So that's where we are.
But a lot of it has always been like planning, just like budgeting at home.
Right.
What do we do next year? How can we fit this in? We buy the dump trucks and they go $250 a piece. How often should we buy those, or do we get the loader?
Mhm.
Then we have the roads. For years, you probably came in at the end of the infrastructure bond, that we had a 5-year bond to pay for upgrades of the roads. Should we do that type of thing? How does that fit into the overall projection? And as Bob said, that's the long-term, long-range planning type thing. Do we need a bond for that? Should we be looking at increasing the capital investment in the infrastructure?
Right.
As Donna said, do we really need all these bridges? I mean, seriously.
How often do they meet?
We were meeting about every 2 weeks
What?
in the fall. We've lost some time in November, partly because of people resigning, and we need some new membership. So you are going to fill one of the available seats. We have 2 more that we're looking for.
I think the committee which I was on was comfortable meeting pretty much every month.
Okay,
You know, because you were also waiting for David to come in and to give them reasonable time to accumulate that type of thing. So
sure. I
we're not
was-
looking for a weekly commitment or anything like that.
Right.
So
The particular day was
Tuesdays.
Tuesdays.
Tuesdays?
Yeah, Tuesday, well, we were meeting at 5 and then we're meeting at 6, but late afternoon Tuesdays.
Works for me.
Okay. Motion.
Make motion to appoint Travis to a 3-year position on the capital planning committee.
Second.
Is it 30 years spot out to 30?
It's a
When
lifetime
we edit
position.
the tape, Don, that's what it's gonna say.
I'm like,
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Welcome aboard, Travis. Nice to meet you.
I think you're lucky
Thank
Eva's still downstairs and gets sworn in right now.
okay.
Yeah,
Travis, thank you
Oh.
for your service and your dedication to the community. I think really appreciate it.
thank you.
Thanks, guys.
To the
Mhm.
full position.
Oh, Are we waiting for Rose, or basically it's just, remember, Don, we had to amend the amount because of the decommissioning bond. The fact that we took some land off the thing for Mark's requirement for storage,
Storage, right?
and then we amended the lease also for the
Conservation.
conservation, and that's the changes.
And Rose has seen this? We're all-
She has, she's at work.
So those are the 3 changes. Again, the decommissioning bond reduced, the request of this highway superintendent for his area to be left untouched.
So the main things here, though, is that they've increased the decommissioning bond from 250 to 513,000
Per the plan.
for the planning board, which is good for the town. And the annual tax payment will be $66,480.91.
Mhm.
And the rent will be
49.5.
49,250
Mhm.
for 520, excuse me, for a total of 116,000 in total revenue for the town for 20 years.
Mhm. And the adjustment 4.3 was the 5,000. We're using 5,000 towards the conservation fund.
Now, are we still gonna have the $1,000 thing on the town meeting for this?
Or is it going to 5,000?
Hmm?
Going to 5,000 from 1,000 to 5,000?
They're
The
getting
1,000 is
5,000.
the annual appropriation at town meeting.
Conservation.
So they're going to get 6,000 now a year?
Sure. Well, that'll be another motion at annual town meeting, and that'll be the town's choice.
And what's the $5,000 worth?
So basically, they were looking for,
They want rent?
in fact, compensation. They're gonna have some expenses with managing the land that we now put them in charge of, et cetera. And the quicker they accumulate that fund, it grows that fund. And Don, you were around during the Minichog
Yeah.
Mountain purchase. Part of the fact we were able to, match it was we had money in conservation at that time. We aren't required to pay the whole thing, but the state does. If you're looking to get money from it, we need to show.
Yeah, you should show.
Help you to show. Motion for approval of the amendment.
It's your landfill.
Go Grand Town. Don, you went there. I move to approve the amendment to the lease agreement with Amoresco
Second.
as endorsed by the town council.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do I need to sign here someplace?
Looks like it.
There is a signature page.
There one in here.
No, isn't
I think
there?
we should look at those racks.
It's at the end. Go back to the handout. It's
Yeah,
at,
right, yeah.
on the,
Yeah, right there, second page.
Just make like an X.
yeah.
I think the thumbprint would be appropriate.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna put this in the please sign thing.
Okay, thank you.
The 6:15. 6:11.
Is there anyone?
Yeah, I know, but you know, there could be like hundreds of people that wanna. All right, I'll open the hearing for the, oh, is she here for that?
Yes,
Yeah.
No,
yes.
the other lady.
No, petitioner.
The one that's downstairs.
The one is downstairs, the one downstairs.
Mary, I doubt it.
Mary.
She's not on the road.
No, she thought it was planning.
Oh, okay, okay. Planning board, those, planning board. All right, I'll open the hearing. This is a hearing pursuant to chapter 166, section 22, on the petition of the Massachusetts Electric Company doing business as National Grid and Verizon New England requesting permission to locate a pole on South Road. I got a typo there. South Road, beginning at a point approximately 1/2 mile north of the center line of the intersection of South Ridge Road. Correct?
Correct. Yes.
There's comments
Jointly
from,
owned pole. with
comments from
Verizon.
the highway super.
And we have a comment from the highway superintendent. Is that after reviewing the paperwork and conducting a site inspection, I have no comment other than I would recommend that the pole be placed at least 12 inches from the back of the berm.
Okay, it is straight, it's staked to be straight lined with the wires that already go from pole 40 to pole 41. If we start adjusting it from the stake, so
No attention.
then we have to start
Tension
guiding
problem.
in different
Do
directions.
you know how far it is from the berm?
Don't, it's.
I would find it
Pretty far
hard
up
to
the
believe,
road,
12
though.
inches.
I would
12
find it hard to
inches.
believe it could be any closer than 12 inches to a
It's only a
berm, right.
foot, right?
Yeah, by the time you auger the hole down,
Yeah.
I think you're pretty much there, so.
Yeah,
If you do see a problem, please touch base with Mark.
okay.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I
usually
can't
he
see how it
would
would
call
be,
me
I don't
directly.
see how.
Pretty close.
No. Yeah, so,
So 12, not closer than 12 inches behind the berm.
yeah, I
Is
I can't imagine it is.
Yeah, it's pretty.
What's the
far.
reason for it? To sag or?
A couple of reasons that it's an extremely long span between pole 40 and 41. We used to do it that way years ago. Also, there's a new house going in, so we're gonna, it has a dual purpose to fix that plus become a service pole for the.
Is the house on the same side as the pole? Or will it-
Yes.
okay.
Have you contacted the abutters?
They were notified for this meeting. Yep.
But it's probably people putting the house in it. Pretty sure they're happy about it. You're getting power.
So it's just an additional pole to take the slack out of the lines that are there.
Correct. And
And to
again,
provide-
and
And
provide
provide
power,
service.
yeah.
Yeah, because we can't just come.
Mhm.
Sometimes we can come just mid-span off the wires if the
Right.
house are 50
It's
feet
too
off the
far.
road, but it's too far.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other comments? Anyone on Zoom have any comments? Hearing none.
Make a motion to approve the pole petition as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
I got some things to sign here, if you want to. Someplace. I have 3 copies of things to sign. Oh. What? All right, so the next thing you have is department heads meeting, which we'll have next week, begin next week, the 13th. The first, our annual kind of update the first 6 months fiscal year, then the next, what they see coming up next year and the next 6 months, and also if they have any plans for town meeting, what they think their expenses will be. We should be pretty good for town meeting this year, I think.
We should be, and of course, we haven't heard what advisory's thoughts are. They should, we'll talk with them about,
They'll be here to talk about that.
whole, what are we doing, that type of thing.
Yeah, so that's what that's about. So that's all scheduled for next week. Police policies.
I'd like to start getting them a little earlier than the day of.
Right,
I did print the proposed changes that the chairman is recommending.
We haven't heard back from them on that either. The chief, I sent it to the chief last week. He sent it to the union people. This is on the telephone thing. The changes I made, I sent it to you. I don't know if you finally were able to open it or not. But the changes I made were they had that the town issued telephone and cellular phones could be used for personal use. I don't think they should. It should be just for, police use. And maybe in an emergency situation, if that's the need. But there's two reasons for that. Number one, I don't want to be paying for their personal phone. And number two, the subject to discovery. If there's a court case or something, all their personal stuff is subject to discovery on that phone. So I think they do that. The other thing is there was an issue in there about being at the primary means of communication. Again, I thought that primary means of communication should be the radio communication.
They spent all that good money on it.
Because we spent all that money on it, and plus it's a record. It's a record that could be subpoenaed for discovery or something like that in a particular case. And so I sent that along, and also I put in there an issue submission about the personal use, their use of their personal phone while on duty. That it should be limited to only emergencies. They should observe all the same rules that drivers have to use when using cell phones in their cars. And then there's also a piece in there about if they use it to take pictures and stuff like that, has to be turned over as evidence right away. So we're waiting to hear back from them on that.
These two policies he's talking about here both have impact legally, I would say, especially the misconduct one. Does Scott run these by the department legal firm, which used to be Jack and the other guy? Or should we be bouncing them off of Rose as well? Because these are two policies that could provide, as you're concerned on, some exposure to the town.
The ones here, the conduct ones, I think are coming down from police reform.
Right.
So I think they've already been signed off on.
They're virtually verbatim. Yeah, I looked, they're virtually verbatim. The only thing I added in on that was that the chief didn't have is that in the police reform, it says that an officer is required to intervene if he feels another officer is using inappropriate excessive force. That's in there, but what's not in there is in the retaliation part, that it should be if an officer has intervened, there should be no retaliation against that officer within the department.
Partly you have to say these things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's printed out.
It's part of
Spell
it.
everything out, you have to spell it all out.
Right, and it's all part of police reform.
Right.
So,
I would just recommend one change to that cellular phone policy.
Yep.
At the end, I think it's under section C, the bottom. Care and maintenance.
Yeah.
The town shall be responsible for updating the device every 1 to 2 years. I don't feel we need to replace the device every 1 to 2 years.
I think you said that before.
Yeah, if they're strictly using it for
Well,
point-to-point contact.
with this limited use, I mean, it's
Right.
we're almost into, this is capital, but we'll decide on a different policy.
Yeah.
So,
I don't think that should be in there at all.
no, there's no guarantee of it.
So you want to take that
I
out?
want to strike that out, yeah.
Okay, I'll send that along tomorrow to the chief. Tell him straight it out. And then we'll hold off on these until we hear back from. You're gonna take out C altogether? Office, you want office, we can leave, officers shall maintain their mobile device and work in order, and shall immediately report any defects or malfunctions.
Yeah,
right?
it was number 2.
Leave that number 2. Okay, take number 2 out. Okay, anything else on that? All right. Here we go. Moving right along.
Are we taking all two out? Or are you okay with leaving the case and the accessory part of it.
Accessories usually come when you buy a phone,
I know,
a
a case
charger.
thing or something.
The case is extra. I'm
Well,
indifferent to
I mean,
that.
these guys are running around. I don't think
Yeah.
a shock case is a bad idea.
No, I'm indifferent to it. I have no opinion.
I mean, I think you're right about knocking out that first line. No, we're not guaranteeing to replace and leave the rest of it
Okay,
there.
so we'll leave the town provided to expense, one protective
What's
case.
your best, the OtterBox type thing for that type of?
It would be, I mean,
Yeah.
Are the issues for-
for them, but it depends if can they, does that make it too bulky to carry? They're gonna need a belt clip at that point.
You know, because the utility belt already.
Just
Everything but the back.
wear it around a lanyard.
All right, okay. All right, next item is the streetlights, Mountain View, Brookside, Woodland Drive and other. You're the streetlight guy.
So basically, we have a list that the chief provided us, a little history to it. We went into a power purchase agreement a few years back, which allowed bulk purchase of power, which allowed us to reduce the bill for the senior center, streetlight, town hall, and police station. And we're looking at 20 to 25% savings there. It's allowed us not to have to increase the amount as electric rates continue to rise. And Don, I'm sure in your time at the State House, you know, they like to throw out, oh, we need 35% this year, and then negotiate down to 15.
Yeah.
And they probably laugh going, hey, we got 15. Yeah. So, and there's actually a hint that there's gonna be a pretty big request this year as well. So then, 2 years ago, the board went ahead and replaced the streetlights with LED lighting as well, which further brought down the bill. We have the capacity inside our current budgeted amount to add the 15 lights the chief has requested, which are intersection lighting, where the officers on patrol would like to have a better visibility at night. Plus, they feel that traffic would also appreciate that. Most of it's in, to be honest, the Sessions area, a lot of those roads. I'm not quite sure if the lights here requested are intersection lights or cul-de-sac lighting or along the road lighting. Historically, we haven't had a lot of along the road lighting, except Allen Street, Main Street, et cetera. I would like to go ahead and let's proceed on getting the 15 lights requested by the chief, John. And I think Pam has actually already started that ball rolling with National Grid. The generator work order. As I said at this point, and I think I sent some numbers to the board. It's not expensive, especially when we're only going to be paying for 6 months inside the current budget year by the time it's done. And I'd like to see where these polls and go send them to the chief and get his recommendation on as well for the additional lighting we're hearing from citizens.
Well, did you see the email with the report from Officer Beatty who did the streetlight analysis on the street over there?
No, I did not.
Yeah, it was sent in an email last week. And he was recommending 7 total pole lights be put in on the area of Mountain View, Brookside, and Sessions.
Right.
Is
Then
that
my question would be, are the
intersection
intersection lights,
or
are
the
they already on?
cul-de-sac?
He's the streetlights at the intersection of Session and Meadowview. My initial assessment would be to place the new streetlights on the odd number poles for Mountain and on the even poles for Brookside. So 8 on Brookside, 7 on Mountain, and then the last 2 poles closest to the cul-de-sac on each street.
That
So that's
would be street lighting on.
So I would also
dead
suggest new lights
streets,
on Baldwin as well. They're very
Right.
dark.
Yeah, I can see the cul-de-sac lighting, especially, I hate to say it, while they're plowing as well.
Yeah.
That would be critical. So let's look at that. Like I said, let's make sure the 15 that the police requested are kicking along and see if we can fit in cul-de-sac lighting inside this year's budget, which I believe we can. We're only talking 2 to 3.
Yeah.
But if we're talking along the street lighting, to be honest, there's gonna be a lot of people saying, I'd like my street
Right.
to have along the street lighting as well.
I was just curious why we needed them there. I think there was some, I don't know if there's any police reports of any activity down there.
There was concern of that,
There is, it's the end of the chain, if you will. You get down to Rose Circle, et
it's
cetera.
dark, it's really dark.
It does get dark.
Right.
I think the cul-de-sac part would help quite a bit. And then something, honestly, let's look at every cul-de-sac. We have Genevieve, we have Grist Mill, you have all those type there.
We don't need it on Oak Knoll because the lights from the Great Horse light up the street anyhow.
I thought it was your Christmas decorations they were saying. No. come on.
Griswold.
Yes,
I know nothing about streetlights or Sessions Drive.
Well,
However,
good, we'd like to hear your opinion.
I have been asked to bring forward the idea that the whole Sessions Drive area should be lit up because people do walk and it gets dark at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And there's concern that they are going to be hit. They took away baby strollers, so on and so on. So I just brought that to your attention. Don't you the message.
Intersections and cul-de-sac first.
Exactly. I mean, otherwise the budget would never handle
Yeah.
another 100 lights, you know, if you were doing the entire streets down there.
Well, I mean, that's, I think they said 8 and 7.
No, for her request, you're doing every street in the session.
Oh, every street, yeah. That's a lot of lights.
Yeah,
But
that's a lot.
I'd like to see the police reports too, if there's a lot of activity down there.
They said that the lights always used to be on until we had that,
There are no-
shut down where we turn.
There are no lights that are off that have ever,
Yeah.
Well, that's what they
Every
were
light's
saying.
been
I don't
turned
know.
on
I have
for
no
the last-
idea if they're.
Yeah,
out.
the
12
years ago, they
Years
shut
ago,
them off.
before
but
the
They've been
town
turned
hall,
back, they've been
All
turned
those
back on.
things is when they-
That was when everything closed down. That was it. Yeah.
that was 2005 though. There's been nothing that's been left off.
So every light we have now is on.
I think that's a song. Every light in the house is on, something like
Yeah.
that. And actually, at that time, there were some people who were paying for the lights on their own.
Right.
Your neighbor,
They still.
Mary
they said
Dunkley?
that They're still paying themselves.
No,
A
they're
couple
not.
people.
They're not.
They said, Mr. Davidson. so.
I know. Mary Dunkley was paying for the light at the end of her road.
Yeah.
You know, but they've all been taken back.
Not very much, it's like $7.
Do we need a motion for that or?
No, I think it's already in here.
In play. It's already in play.
So we're doing intersections and cul-de-sac right now. Okay, holiday pay,
Um,
They get the
Here's a
same amount I'm
copy.
getting.
an updated copy of the highway contract. There's another one over here too. If you would sign, here we are, sign both copies. On page 10, I just inserted the standard clause having to do with health insurance.
this is the health insurance. What about the holiday pay?
I think
The,
we're researching.
I looked at, certainly at this, and the problem was 10 years ago, so you had a 5-day week.
Aha,
No, we didn't. We cut back, that was 2005. We cut back from,
Still.
I mean, we had 5-day weeks back in the K-dash days. That's way back, right? They're talking 90s. Oh, yeah. I mean, then when we did the shutdown, that's when we never got back
We
to
never
5
got
days
back
after the
to
shutdown. And that was 2005.
well,
I think the like,
Something
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Well, I'll have to look further then.
Yeah.
I just would say, in my humble opinion, that the handbook says if you work the day before the holiday,
Yes,
you get paid if it's on a Saturday. They were closed on Friday, so it's, sorry.
that's what it says, yes.
So, I mean,
And-
this year you
Yeah.
just.
The other item I
you'd be
passed out
happy
to
with.
you. The other item is making the change in the employee handbook.
For the insurance.
For the insurance.
Yes, but also, looking through it, there are some other changes that we may as well incorporate now. So I gave you each a copy, and I would suggest that maybe in a week or two,
Mhm.
if you have a chance to review it, we should make some other changes here.
Are your
as well.
changes in here already?
I only put the health insurance
Okay.
change in there, but there are some others,
Okay,
including the 5-day week, 4-day week, and those kinds of things that we ought to just update this.
if I can suggest then, that would be a great thing to cover, that we're reviewing the manual next week at the department day.
Yep.
And then we'll do it the following week after we get
20th.
notified.
Give them a Christmas present.
Wow.
There's a lot of information in here, a lot of
Fruitcake for
material.
everybody?
Oh.
Don,
Expended on.
you're bringing boosters for everybody.
Expended.
Yeah, not me. Hey, Mrs. Davenport frequently tells me you're so cheap. I am,
So I have both.
and the heat's not
Yeah,
going on until the 15th of December.
There's been one,
Nice.
whether it's cold or not, whether it's snowing.
Gotta get those blankets, right?
Blankets. What's wrong with
The
you?
heated blanket.
Okay, holiday, but townwide
Extension cord
broadband
running to-
master plan, where are we there?
Extension cord
Well,
running
we
to the neighbors.
received one proposal that I sent on to the board. And that was from a consultant in Salt Lake City that was used by the town of Wilbraham, who did a very effective job. And then on December the 1st, several of us went over to see the facilities in Westfield at Whip City Fiber. And it seemed to me that their operation's very impressive. And rather than spend $20,000 on a consultant report, I would certainly recommend that we go with Whip City and use that 20,000 for another purpose, including starting the filings and so forth.
The first thing that they would need to do is the poll application.
That's right,
And they
that's
said
right.
that's roughly 20 to 30,000.
right.
There's
This is going to
What
be,
was it?
a poll application process.
Oh, for all the.
Yeah, there's 1,880 polls in Hampden, and they have to go and validate every single poll to make sure that they're sustainable for
Right
fiber
now,
optics.
all this expense at the beginning would be paid for from the ARPA
Hard
grants. Okay.
Is that
and
right?
they are increasingly the firm that the communities in the region are using. They did the work in Beckett, they did the work in Westfield. They've signed a contract with West Springfield, and they're working with other communities towards the same goal. Townwide fiber. So,
Did you see where, did you see the paper today or yesterday with Russell sold their
TV
I
station.
did, yeah.
TV stations
Yes, I
to
They were pretty much
Comcast?
Mhm.
three facilities in the state that still
Yeah.
offered their own
Yeah.
TV system,
Cable.
cable provider.
The one in Shrewsbury is very impressive. And I think they're the one that seems to be successful, making money and so forth. So this, what came of the meeting that we had is that this is going to be a very complex process, and it's going to take a number of years, probably 3 at a minimum, maybe as many as 5 years to get the project done.
Really?
But,
Kind of like the highway garage.
yeah,
Remember, Don, the original cable build out? We were all saying, hey, when are you doing my street,
Yeah.
my
It'd
It'd be
street?
like that.
That took forever.
but once done, residents of the town will have the option of paying for internet service only
Mhm.
through this system. And once they purchase internet service, they could then pick and choose streaming services that they might want. So it basically expands the options available to town residents. Communities are doing it all over the region and actually all over the state. And I think to be competitive, to recruit and retain younger people who work in the tech industry, fast internet service at a reasonable price is something that would make sense for the town.
I think the thing that kind of impressed me about this breakdown, they kind of broke down some of the funds, what we can use ARPA for. You know, an estimated customer take rate of 50%, which is a very conservative number. We probably have more than that. But we'd have to take out a bond for the initial payment, which we pay over 20 years. But annually, it looks like we profit non-taxable revenue of $108,000 if we went with this project. So on top of paying off the bond, collecting the fees and the revenues from the customers, we'd be able to come out on the plus side of it.
We bill the customers?
We would bill the customer.
So basically, if we're billing $80 for the thing, Whip City is gonna want X number of dollars for their service.
28.
We're gonna wanna service our
$28.
debt for some part, and then we can also put a little in the, if you will, the kitty, because at some point, we're gonna have to do work. And we have to pay. So as Craig said, you wanna accumulate a little money
Right.
because you have expenses coming down the road.
So yeah, these figures here, we would be taking in roughly $100,000.
But the question is, and this gets back into, this is municipal service. It's not meant to be a for-profit business. The
Correct.
money we're accumulating is like an enterprise fund.
Yeah.
So
You do this for down the road, you know you.
it's first self-sustaining, so there's no expenditure.
Mhm.
And then you're putting a little bit back into the system for updates, upgrades, or,
Well, that's true, and I think a little kitty aside,
Yeah.
because what if some customers drop? You
Right.
still have to
Yeah,
make
you
your
get
payment,
that,
right?
and
So-
even, this is based on a conservative 50% take
Right,
rate.
yeah.
They seem to think that we'd have substantially higher take rate.
True, but if now, the build out,
Mhm.
and I missed that part of it, like it says, it takes, could be 2 to 3 years. We have to start servicing the debt with the customers we get at the beginning, and that could be a bit of a growth. thing.
Correct, yeah, it'd
Right.
be a slow growth.
Right.
And it depends, he says that there would be 8 fiber service areas. So you would go in and petition and get interest and see what the highest take rates would be. And you'd start with the highest one, then you'd build around the infrastructure around there. And that's when the build out would just grows it all down.
How much is it gonna cost us to do the whole thing? I mean, it's a guesstimate, I know.
It's a guesstimate, it's really crude,
Yeah.
and they're saying the installation, the work and the fiber, it'd be a $6 million bond. And over 20 years, you're looking at a $480,000 annual payment. And then your estimated revenue would be $617,000. Couple fees here and there.
Well,
But 2 points
the
there
cost
also.
was 6, but we can put some of the ARPA money.
Correct,
towards it,
correct.
right?
This
This is
discounted by
no ARPA money.
infrastructure legislation and ARPA legislation
Yeah.
funding,
Yeah.
and also the funding that's going to be coming out of Boston as well
Mhm.
for this kind of activity. So the town will not be seeing
That number,
that kind of
Right, so
uh,
worst
expense.
case,
This is
you're
worst.
saying worst case.
Yeah,
6,
worst
could
case.
No
be
no
down
money
to
from
5,
anybody.
4,
Correct,
right.
yeah. Obviously, like we said, we have the ARPA funds and all the infrastructure bills.
And any borrowing that the town would have to do
Mhm.
would be done at the best possible time right now. This is the best, these are the most favorable interest rates that we will see in our lifetimes. And so that's another argument for making decisions as soon and getting out there. And if we have to float a bond, getting that done at the annual town meeting.
What's the next step? Is to go back to your committee, Craig, or,
Well, we gotta go.
The next step would be the next town meeting.
no, I mean, would your committee help with the presentation?
Yes, oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
So Whip City would have their customer service reps
Mhm.
would work with the fiber optic committee to facilitate any of the questions and answers, how to's, longevity, what to do, yeah, the basic steps for it, yeah.
Okay.
Informational for the customers and the residents.
All right, so first step is gonna get another additional plan thing for the town meeting, right?
Mhm. That's one thing.
We can also, they said, we could start on the full petition with the ARPA funds, right,
Yes.
Bob?
Correct.
To get the ball rolling,
Mhm.
because other municipalities are gonna be jumping on board with the infrastructure bill.
Mhm.
And we could miss the boat to get it done in a timely fashion if we wait too long.
Right.
And then we'd be on the back end waiting for somebody to come around and service it.
So at that point, we're gonna need, I want to say, a permission from the board or a positive move from the board to allow Bob to spend money from the ARPA fund on this purpose. So once you have a firm quote, you'll need to bring that to us.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. One day permit for a sip and shop.
I looked around, I didn't see that.
I saw the email about it. It's been done before, back when it's all about me. Heck, we've done one-day permits for the senior center.
Yes, can't go artisans would do it.
Yeah,
So
but-
Pam may have received that. I
But
didn't
we have a
receive that.
request, don't have a.
We had the email. I assume that this is unfortunate. Because of Pam not being here, we don't have it. What date was that going to be?
I think it was throughout December.
Yeah. when is it coming out? No.
Well, one day permit is.
I don't
One
have the
day
email.
throughout December.
I think it was kind of like the VFW does.
No, I'm wondering in the,
We pay this.
email was, December, Sundays from 10 to 1 and Thursday nights from 6:30 to 8. So it was like multiple, that's
That's
not
a
8
one-day permit.
of each of those days. Yeah.
So are they multiple one-day permits? Is that how they would?
We usually do separate ones like we do with the VFW. I mean,
Yeah.
we've listed the dates on a single vendor, if you will, a single. So this Thursday, I assume this is through. Sunday and Thursday. So you're looking at worst case 8, maybe 7 of them. You gotta
Yeah,
figure
yeah.
3 or 4 weeks.
We got 3 Thursday, probably.
This was Thursday, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, would take you to, and then 7 if you keep the last Thursday.
If they're gonna go to the end of the month.
Yeah. I don't know, I'm all about helping new vendors, but this is. So their hours are till what? This kind of gets into, we always had the thing before, Don, you recall this, about planning parking at the plaza. You know, we're talking December here.
Well, they have times listed in Pam's email. There's times listed. In
I
Pam's
see that,
email.
but I'm saying, what's their hours of operation for the store?
This is a duplicate. $7,000. This, I think we already paid.
Can I throw this out here, Mr. Chair?
Well, no, because I'm having a senior moment, so I have to.
Oh, okay.
Get
You
reorganized.
need a minute?
Get reorganized.
They're closed on
Go
Mondays
ahead.
and
All right.
Tuesdays.
I'd like a little more information, but I'm also like to help do business. I'd entertain a motion for 2 one-day licenses for the next Thursday and Sunday. And let's get a little more detail going forward if we're going to grant any more.
I'm gonna do it next Monday.
Right, so I'm okay with this Thursday and Sunday, fine. And before we do any more, we're going to hear more at the next meeting.
We'll allow 2.
Right, basically one of those 2 days.
Thursday the 9th and Sunday the 12th.
Right, for the times listed in their email, which was, I believe, 10 to 1 and 6:30 to 8.
6:30.
10 to 1 and 6:38. Yeah.
Assuming they pay the fee.
Right,
With the
yeah.
payment, all that.
Yeah. Then Pam can print it up for her.
Right, we authorize those 2 one-day licenses with the payment of a separate fee for each date. And come back if you want more at our next meeting. You know, okay?
Yeah.
I'll make that one.
So
All in favor? Aye.
Hi. We want their businesses to succeed.
yeah,
Exactly.
So,
it looks nice over there. You drive by at night.
Oh, yeah.
It's all lit up.
gentlemen.
Oh, geez.
Hi, what's up?
They're here from an item in my report
Oh,
for fire chief is.
all right. And the police chief, we talked about the cellular phone thing. We haven't heard back from the union, I don't think.
So we did, I did speak with the union representatives. And they obviously said the discussion and the contract negotiations weren't about personal use,
Right.
but they would like personal use.
Really?
And so it's up to us to put in place what we want with the policy. I think we all looked at
Right,
the new policy that was.
right. The chair would like to not allow personal.
Okay, and I saw the language that was put in there. So the phones were purchased, the accessory was purchased already, so we have the phones and all that. And what I got from the union is they may use them, they may not use them. But it is a work-related item, which is obviously going to be used for the purposes of.
Okay, and I explained my reason for the personal thing, is that if they use them for personal use, then if there's a case and there's discovery or anything like that, they have to turn their phone over,
And that's what it says in the policy,
you know?
the policy that I wrote.
So that's why I say no personal use, unless it's an emergency, obviously if there's some emergency, you know. And they have their own personal cell phones with them. They should limit the use because they're at work.
Correct.
You know? And All right.
I just wasn't, like I said, I wasn't in the meeting with the negotiations. I wasn't sure, so I did ask the union, and they basically did say that no discussion about personal use. The policy that I kind of referenced was a Foxborough policy that had it in there. That's why I gave that to the board at that time.
Well, the Foxborough, because they got the Patriots there, so they gotta know what's going on.
With the social media and stuff, right?
So we're
Okay.
gonna do so I'm gonna send you one other change we made about the replacement, and then,
So was that the 1 to 2 years?
Yeah.
So I mentioned that to the union also. In my understanding of their first net, that's what's recommended through that plan that we currently carry with First Net. The upgrades are as soon as a new phone comes around at 1 to 2, but you're not.
That's their recommendation. We don't have to put that in the policy.
okay,
Okay, so we'll take that out.
so I'll send it over to you tomorrow, and then we'll.
Then I'll put it in the phone. Okay. All right, okay. Did I miss my other?
And the other thing is your
That's on my report. The other,
reviews.
pardon?
That's the other thing.
The other
No, we
thing
didn't-
is
Oh, no, wait a
What are we
the
doing about the
car
second policy?
situation.
We actually didn't do anything with the
Second policy, you didn't do anything.
We're waiting for.
We're waiting for confirmation and information.
No.
We're talking about fitness, or we're talking about the,
I don't even have the
We're,
fitness.
we're talking about
Abuse.
abuse. You did, right?
so that one was sent over to Rob today. Did you get a copy of the
Yeah.
language that was put in?
Yeah, that's fine, I think,
Okay.
with me, so I don't know. And then we were just wondering, that's basically what the CMR is, right? I mean, what to do for the,
That's the law
Yeah.
through the police reform that we have to
Okay.
copy through and put in. What we added was just a reinforcement of the duty to intervene,
Yeah.
which is actually covered under the use of force policy. So we've got it in there double, which is fine.
yeah,
But you got it, for reporting,
Mhm.
it's in there. So
okay. All right,
I did not see the fitness one.
I did not put together a fitness. I had some
Oh.
questions on fitness.
Okay, because it was on the, okay.
Yeah, but I did not put one together because I had some questions I wanted to talk to the board about.
we're good, we're all on
Right,
the
so
same page.
with the assurances chief, are we endorsing his policy for
Abuse.
abuse?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to endorse that policy.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And then we'll also use a cell phone.
Okay.
All right, so now we're gonna go to selectors reports.
So basically, we've had a busy meeting or a busy week with different boards. First, from the board, I'm sure we wish speedy recovery to Cliff Bombard.
Yeah.
And best to him and his family. Planning, I'm sure all aware what they've been doing the past week. And we have another meeting coming up this Wednesday. The COA meeting is scheduled, I believe, for next Tuesday. Housing Authority is the following week also. Highway building is pretty much the prep work has been completed. They're closing up the ground and it's all a matter of the supplier coming in with the rebar's all here, everything's here. And the building is scheduled to be delivered next year and constructed.
The foundation.
Bob, do you want to cover the street project in your report?
The water project, this will shock the public, but we have a project to extend the water line down the Main Street that will come in under budget and on time.
Or even less.
So,
or even-
Or, yeah, much less. I mean, the town originally anticipated 700,000. We went out to bid, got a bid for slightly over 400,000. And as anyone can see, they are making their way down Main Street, and this project is going to be done, to my surprise, by mid-December.
We have a report from the engineers that they've completed the Main Street work, and I have to really commend John Plaster from the commissioners, or water commissioners, for his involvement. He's been right on top of it. So the only thing to be done is come up North Road, not all of North Road, Craig, sorry. And then make the connections to municipal buildings, the houses.
Are they just coming up the grass here to service this building?
That was part of the meeting we had with John Plaster. So they're gonna come in the grass area to where the current well is located, intercept that line,
Mhm.
and then cut over to the highway, to the fire department from there,
So across the parking lot, kind of.
basically, yeah. Part of the thought there was that, why come in from the street? Because then you're gonna be, hate to say it,
Taking a
cutting, well, not just that, but you're in the middle, in front of the trucks.
Right.
So,
So if they need to get out.
this way, if you're coming on the side, you're never taken away from the ability of fire to respond to anything. So,
Makes sense.
Mark did say
they
that
actually
there's
did
going
say
to have
that.
to be some repairs on the side of the highway garage
Mhm.
where there's been some deterioration.
Mhm.
He doesn't anticipate that it's going to be really expensive, but there's going to be some additional
Yeah.
cost.
that garage does date from Don 50s, maybe.
I don't know.
Doesn't know if anybody-
Been there a long time.
So that's mine, right?
I just want to thank the library, the fire department, the police department for their efforts yesterday in our Santa Claus and Christmas parade. Mr. and Mrs. Claus, they did a wonderful job. A lot of hard work went in. Pulled off pretty good.
Definitely Jane, Kate
James.
Rumblick, the Biltons for their supply, Craig for his technical work. I mean, that button was pretty fantastic, Craig, I gotta say,
It lit the tree magically. when you hit it.
magically, right?
How that happened.
Those who misbehave aren't going to get coal in their stockings anymore, since we're trying to get away from fossil fuels.
Coal's really expensive right now. You'd almost be getting gold. Is that right?
Mhm. Terrific attendance, must have been almost 100 people there, seriously.
It was a good turnout. People were happy to see something this year.
On administrative report, okay, the first, since I'll move this up, this is the last item in my report. This is the Lucas chest compression system. There's a fairly graphic photo there, but this is the system that the fire department will purchase with federal funding that will provide better service for those who are suffering heart attacks and a superior way to do chest compression.
Mhm. The cost is approximately. wow, that's-
Cost is
that's-
$15,000.
$15,000.
$15,000.
And this is covered by CARES?
This will be covered, yes, we'll cover it with either CARES. I have to take a look at the CARES again. We have money that will run until December the 31st, so we're going to pay for this quickly. If it's going to be CARES, we have an additional 48,000 in CARES Act. And if not, we'll use ARPA funds to pay for it.
Okay.
And
If it doesn't arrive by the 31st, as long as you have an invoice.
as long
it's
as,
covered?
yes, as long as we have a commitment to spend,
Okay.
so.
Where would it
Where's
go?
this
Would
gonna
it go on the,
The
Where would
chief
it go?
is here to talk about.
Did this go in
answer any
rescue or
Yes, this will go in the rescue.
I'm assuming it's trained professional use?
Well, yeah, it can be used by first responders, but you don't have to be an EMT or paramedic to use it first of all. The on-scene time is probably minimum of 20 minutes. And then you have the 20-minute ride. So this will still give quality chest compressions during that time. During narrow hallways, down stairways, it can still give chest compressions as, normally someone can't walk alongside a stretcher on a stairwell in the hallway and do this. So it should give continuous high quality chest compressions all the time.
Does this have to be operated or is it like robotic kind of?
It's robotic.
So you know the statistics.
I guess you're gonna tell me.
I am. So statistically, 5 to 7% of all cardiac arrests don't make it outside the hospital, don't make it. Right? They did a study of 8,500 people with the Lucas machine. And there was no difference in the patient outcomes from using the machine or from manual compressions. The advantage of the Lucas machine, they found out, was that the compressions were at least all the standard size. If you've ever done, if you've sure you've done CPR as I have, it doesn't take you long to get tired, And so with this machine, the compressions are always the same strength, the same amount. But the outcomes are no different from manual to using the machine. The advantage, I guess, with the machine is that the ambulance driver or who's ever working on the patient doesn't, he can do other things while the compression's working. And it works the same, right? When you have to do the AED, you know, just for defibrillation, you have to stop it, right, and that kind of stuff like that, so. But,
Yeah, I mean, it's, I guess, liability, safety. I guess there's always argument, outside argument, or organ donors or something as well.
Yeah. I'm not opposed to it, I just want to make you understand that.
Yeah, I think there's positives to it.
Okay. And then the way it works is you got to slide a board underneath the person, the
But
pad.
yeah, it comes with everything you need to do that.
Yeah, you put a pad and then you connect it, right?
Yep.
Suction cup and chest.
Yeah.
Right. Can you do suction? You have to open the shirt though, right?
Yeah, it's like regular chest compressions, make sure there's nothing in the way,
Yeah.
make sure there's no medical devices.
Right.
Does this have to go to bid or is this on the state list?
That's a-
It is on, it's on to the town administrator, it's on the SABIC list and also another list that qualifies for Massachusetts state.
Any other questions?
No, there's a fairly graphic photo if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, I know, I've. You have to clear, when you do the AED, do you have to clear it? No, right?
If there's any shockable parts on it, you'll have to clear it. I mean, we could ask, deputy should be online, but he's done quite frequently.
Oh, there he is. There he is. Pat?
Yes.
So if the guy's in fibrillation, do you have to clear the Lucas from it or the AED for using AED?
There's a pause button, so to decide defibrillation, that would be at the ALS level. We'll see on the monitor that that's the rhythm, and then we would pause, check for pulses, confirm there is or isn't a pulse, and if there wasn't, you hit start and it starts compressing again.
All right. How long do you think it takes to set it up after you've practiced it a number of times?
I think 7 seconds is about where you want to be. It's basically, lift the shoulder, slide the board under, and then it clicks in, and then pull the arm down and hit start. That's the way it goes.
Can it be used on adolescent children?
There's a certain age, I believe it's 6 and over. I think it also has a weight base to it, but it wouldn't be used on infants. I know that.
I mean, the main thing is that distance, that travel 20-25 minutes to the hospital for someone to do that, you would, and travel and movement doesn't bother it, right?
Right, and the state wants us doing 20 minutes of ACLS care on scene, so IV medications. They want us 20 minutes on scene before we even start about extricating and transporting. So 20 minutes on scene plus 5 to get out, plus additional travel time. And EMS is, we try to do what we call like a pit crew when we're doing the cardiac arrest. Everyone has a role, everyone has an assignment. Action, they have one paramedic and then their basic partner along with whoever we can provide. So adding this into the complement of tools, I think will hopefully at least save one life in its tenure with us.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I'd like to authorize the town administrator to work with the fire chief to get this procured and reimbursed through CARES funding.
That's a second. That's a vote. That's a
That's
motion.
my motion.
Yeah, that's a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I don't know if it fell under that threshold. Or it didn't.
Okay.
Well, it's not a state contract.
I asked for an update from the building commissioner regarding Cumberland Farms.
Yeah.
And, we did send a letter. And apparently there were people recently doing the cleanup, which the building inspector said, or commissioner says, it seems that the things are moving in a positive direction. There's a purchase and sale agreement, and this kind of cleanup activity usually takes place prior to the execution of purchase and sale.
For the building, you're not talking about the company sale, that was England, but this is for the building itself? There's a purchase and sale, you think?
Yes, there is.
There was a purchase and
Another
sale years ago, wasn't
Yeah.
there?
I know.
Is that the same one that you're talking
I
about?
don't think it's the same one, but there is one that is a valid purchase and sale agreement.
Okay.
So did they respond to his first
Let's
letter?
see.
Yeah.
As of maybe 2 weeks ago, when I asked him, did you get a response? He had not received a response. And we talked about the next steps, which were basically to go to court.
It's a county.
So, but he seems to think that now, even though they haven't responded with a letter, that they have in fact responded by taking action. So,
So what action have they taken recently? The last I saw was the cleaning that was being done down there over the summer.
Yeah,
spring?
they swapped out the soil.
Right, but
that's right.
I haven't seen anything since then.
He said, people were in there the other day, we're taking more samples. Assume this is follow-up on the previous cleanup activity.
Was it there or next door? I saw work on
Yeah,
gas station property,
right.
you know.
Yeah.
He said that
Okay.
he seems to think that it's taking place on. We have ordered the new phone system. I put that, I'm so happy about that. I put it down twice on the report. We have a police vehicle issue. Chief came in the other day to report that he will not be able to order the new Chevy Tahoe until next June. That's ordering it,
What new Chevy Tahoe?
the one that was authorized at the recent town meeting.
You said that was already taken care of back in September. When you said you were getting the one that was authorized in the spring, the guy would go ahead and you told him, "Look, I'm pretty sure we're gonna get
Correct.
the second one."
They were told to order both vehicles.
Right.
And I got word that Chevy is not making vehicles right now, and you're not expected to get any 2022s.
That's two cars.
Two cars are not getting, correct?
This one is one.
Well,
Both cars are not getting that.
there's Chevys that are not being expected to made, 2023s, possibly, I just talked to them this morning, possibly May or June, you'll be able to order. We're taking delivery to September of October for a 2023 in 2022.
Like you said, the guy in September, you said the guy was all set, like he almost like had those cars.
No, I don't think,
But
I
you
said.
Go ahead, give me the order for the second one, because I'm pretty sure we're gonna get funded for it.
I said that he could order them. I took the salesman for his word, and I've been following up on a regular basis with him. We do have a Ford that I am told that the Ford Explorer 2022s, there's about 100 of them being delivered, and I could take ownership of one over the next couple of weeks if I would like to.
But you need two cars.
I could take
No,
probably
you
ownership
need-
of two if I wanted to.
Well, you've been authorized for two, you don't have,
I
if I
understand.
understand.
I was authorized for two, but we were going with Chevys. We don't.
No, I
want to
understand.
follow-
The car we authorized in May, have you gotten it yet?
No.
Okay, and the one in, obviously, so you need two brand new cars the town has paid for, or appropriated. for.
Correct.
So you're looking for
So-
approval to go from Chevy to Ford? You,
We can go with Chevy or Ford with one or both.
Well, we have cars that are well over mileage, I don't understand. why
Yeah,
we wouldn't
we're-
do both.
If we
And-
wanted to stay, I wasn't here when the Chevys came into play, and if we're happy with the Chevys and we want to order one Ford now and then go ahead and take the chance of a Chevy being available around May or June, we could do that. Or if I can get two Fords within
Well-
the next month, I'll do that.
Next May, we're gonna have another car at 100,000, the third cruiser at 100,000 at that point. But I'm worried about the increased cost both for the light set, because now you're going to a different frame. The radio stuff, are you gonna have enough money from your appropriation to go to a whole different type of vehicle?
Fords are cheaper than the Chevys.
So that part will be cheaper, so you'll have,
So we should be able to,
take that savings and use it for the change.
Do all this stuff.
and then the other cue to that is a trade-in, we'll have a trade-in. Which,
Either way, you'd have a trade-in, yeah.
either way, we have a trade-in.
what are you trading in, a Chevy and a Ford now, or two Chevys, two Ford? What
So
the
you would be
trade-in?
trading in a Ford.
Mhm.
The Chevys aren't up for trade-ins, right? Like, so we'd be trading in another Explorer. And I was made aware that our animal control officer so we can maybe take that vehicle and upgrade her vehicle. That was a possibility too.
I heard something about that, but I think it's the same problem we talked about before, Don. We're kicking the can down the road. If there was an opportunity, honestly, like we had with highway/parks, they were getting something a year or so ahead of trading that still had bones left on it. I think the vehicles we're talking about for fire, or sorry, the police don't have enough.
No,
I
not
mean,
to
if-
both over 100,000.
That's the thing. I mean, unless Bob found the state was like selling some Tahoes with 60 on them, that's fine for Shelley's use, because that has years of liability
Shelley's got an Explorer now, an older generation.
that needs work.
Your cruisers that you're trading in now, the Explorers, do you know offhand if you've had to have transaxles and PTUs replaced on them? Because in that model year, those go bad quite often.
And I think that's the work
I'm
that
concerned.
Dad's been working with Kathy on that to get that reference. Yeah.
I'm concerned that if we
Oh.
swap Shelley's for the one we have now, that these ones are gonna have more fail rate than the one she has.
Right. The devil you know than the one you
Yeah.
don't.
It does seem that the newer ones, unfortunately, like the 2021s, and that's why I think we steered away from the Fords and the Chevys, because they're starting to have some problems. And we are only a 2022, but that's what they can get right now. That the shipment's supposed, again, the shipment is supposed to land within the month of 100 cars.
You're 1 year past that new model year for the Fords,
Mhm.
so they've worked out the kinks by
Okay.
then. So,
But 100 cars coming in, and how many guys are lined up for those 100 cars?
Right,
now?
so you're right. So I was at a vendor show about 2 weeks ago, and I was confirmed for one, because I wasn't sure how we wanted to do it. I'm sure I could probably squeeze two out of it. I don't want to say yes, but.
Oh, I know, but if you don't get that second one, you're gonna be running that card for 125, 130.
I say two.
Huh?
I say two.
If you can get them, I think. The town's already told you to get 2 cars.
Right.
Yeah.
And
You
then
have
there is another niche you could throw into that too, I guess. There are, I don't know what your feelings are on the pickups, the Ford pickups. Wilbraham has one, Long Meadow has one. And for us, for purposes of back and forth to the range with the petitions in the back for firearms and stuff like that, would be good. A patrol vehicle, it is rated for patrol. I could swap out and have the sergeants use that and move the sergeant's Tahoe down to the patrol. That's
What's,
a little bit more,
Hmm.
but we're probably still able to make it work. That's not guaranteed. I'm hearing those are a little bit later. So the guarantee is more so the Explorers.
If you're looking for that type of thing, more I would have made the court car, the truck that would be more multi-purpose then. It could carry this stuff. It could go to court. And honestly, what I'm hearing, the court's gonna be shut down again anyhow. I'm not sure how much work. Springfield, I think, is really on the verge, ready to done.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
going to the court.
So.
Well,
down.
our detective does use it on regular patrol too, so I mean, on his calls and stuff like that. It's not just.
Is the pickup is like that environmental police thing?
Correct. You can actually put a cage in it. A lot of them put the single cage in it, passenger side. You can put a full cage in the back. Wilbraham's is a full cage. We was at our, I don't know if you had a chance to look at it, it was at our public safety night.
Mhm.
They had that there, state police had theirs, and environmental had theirs.
just for
So
clarification, you say four-door pickup.
4-door pickups.
So you arrest a guy, you put him in a cage in the back of the,
In the tonneau cover.
in the bed of the pickup?
No, it's a 4-door. It's a 4-door.
All right. Well, something to look at. So I guess, can we authorize the chief to go ahead and get 2 Fords as quickly as possible?
Yeah.
As
sure.
authorized
We've
by
already-
town meetings
we've already
already.
paid for it, yeah.
I guess the second question to that is, does he want to look into a pickup too, if he can keep it under budget?
Yeah, we'll pick up.
No. You bring it
Is
up.
for the spring? Sure, keep investigating. We need another car in the
Yeah.
spring.
Do you have enough in your account from the sale of used vehicles to maybe get something for Shelley that would have lesser mileage, but not be a new vehicle?
We would only have one that's at 100,000 we're trading in.
Right.
It wouldn't, and as we're saying, it's not going to be probably workable for her.
No, but I think if you've got a couple of trade-ins, you've got some other money, the vehicle she has is worth, I don't want to say buckus, but something.
Yeah, right.
You know, can you cobble together $25,000 that allows us to get something used that's appropriate for her use? It's not a patrol vehicle. It's not going out on the road. But for her use there and done, something in the 60,000 range.
I'm not going to have that extra money with what I have here with the 2 vehicles I have right now.
No.
No, the outfitting has doubled on what I was doing for the
So
ship.
that was what I was.
That's the concern.
You're hoping in the savings on
I'm-
the car. You have enough.
I'm hoping I'm gonna make the
So
exact.
we're gonna need, now we need to know that number, because that's gonna come back to us for where we're gonna get that money.
I should be okay just to make 2 of these cars come into play, especially this last money that was appropriated for me. So it should be all set.
So should we just,
But I won't have enough for Chevy too.
Okay.
what's wrong with Shelley's car? Do we know?
It's, I think it had training work done recently. Okay,
Okay.
Thank you.
thank you, Chief.
Just to go through the rest of the report quickly, we've talked about a number of items here. I've applied for funding for an EV charging station. 2 tents have been ordered. What can you, Jane? The tents.
They're ordered.
What, but do you know when they're coming in?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
John's got his
They're
tents.
ordered from Home Depot. Sorry.
John's got his tents.
Yeah.
When are you moving out?
He's close.
Test tents, probably done.
We've we've pretty much processed the health insurance updates. I did meet the new Veterans District agent, Michelle Barrett, on the 23rd. We've just authorized the Lucas device. Also, I am in the process, I put applied, but I'm actually in the process of applying for funding through the state opioid settlement program. And I've been told by the office in Boston that the town's going to get $20,000. So that'll pay for some nice dinners and whatever.
Can we use that for the
Car?
cars? I mean, it's opioid.
Make it a dare.
I don't think it's going to be restricted.
Deer car, but-
That won't be restricted. Also, the East of the River Chamber of Commerce is inviting members of this board to their holiday reception for government.
Yeah, I checked into that, Bob. It's not for the company. We're members also, and it's only for government, or not the,
Right,
members, not the
correct.
corporate members.
Right.
Well,
Well, after we discussed it, I got this envelope with these invitations. So,
that's the Thursday.
and that
One night we have off.
concludes the report.
One quick question to the chair. Bob and I were talking about the fact, I think Bob had mentioned to us before that there was state legislation expanding the hours annual hours that retirees could work.
Correct.
That's going to allow Bob to potentially add Thursdays. What comes forward though is funding. I think we need to look and make sure Bob's fairly compensated in his contract for, if you will, the extra 6 months, whatever, and figure out a way to do it. And maybe that's something the chair could explore with Bob. on.
I will. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
We got a couple of minutes here.
I haven't had a chance. Can we pass it?
They're easy.
I passed over. Oh.
I thought you could pass them on over.
No.
I've read them. I will
Zoom meeting. That was great.
make a motion to approve October 25th minutes.
Second.
In favor?
Make a motion to approve November 9th minutes.
Second.
In favor? Aye.
Pass it back.
Sir, do you have some business before us?
Tim?
I was told to come here and talk about the cemetery budget.
Hey, that's,
Next week.
hey, you know, Tim, we're having the big round table, all the boards, you know, we pass out the sheets and stuff. That's next week.
Can't really expand much on what I've already shared with you, so.
So you'll have a better time. We'll have snacks. It'll be, you'll like it. Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, you guys doing a great job up there. I like the, what you've been doing. Don't put that in there. Okay. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You can't make a motion.
So moved.
There you go. All right, so here's all the signs.